All right, we are live, except your name is under my name, or your face is under my name.
Dear God.
Yeah,
Dear
I
God.
fixed it. Don't worry.
It's fixed. All right. Very good. Happy to hear it. Yeah.
All
Whoop.
right, ready?
Ready now.
Okay. Hello and welcome to the Nerdosphere. I'm one of your hosts, joined as always by the biggest palate this side of the Mississippi, Corbin.
Hey, how's it going today? I'm doing pretty good. Isn't it? How are you?
Oh, I'm pretty good.
Right.
What?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure why you call me Corbin. It's not really my
Oh,
name. I
what's
figured being my brother, you knew that. Yeah.
what's? Am I
But
speaking to James?
it's yeah, James. I'm the fourth Preston brother. I thought you'd remember, but
Oh,
I
yeah.
guess entire life together, you forget that. But it's fine. Yeah.
Wow. Oh,
But
goodness.
I just, I'm excited to be here. First time caller, that never time listener, I think is the phrase.
Yeah, well, if Corbin's terrible accent is to be. I knew that would jerk you out of James.
Fuck you.
Today we're going to be discussing the premiere of Moonknight, which, as of recording this, premiered yesterday on Wednesday, the 30th of March. And we're going to be discussing the premiere and its release, what we think about it, if we think it's a good adaptation, its reception, that kind of stuff. Yeah, this is the Nerdosphere. We're a podcast that discusses everything from the big screen to the small screen and anything in between. If you can nerd out about it, we're going to talk about it. If you like what we do, scroll on down and give us a rating. We really appreciate ratings. It helps us with the suggested algorithm on Apple iTunes, helps us get in front of new listeners. If you are on Spotify, they have recently introduced ratings over there as well, so scroll on down and give us a rating. We greatly appreciate it. If you really like what we do, go visit us over at patreon.com/the Nerdosphere, where you can find out how to support us for as little as $1 a month to help support the channel and help us grow and continue to do this, and maybe one day turn it into a living of some sorts.
Ooh.
But yeah, there's several different tiers over there. The lowest is $1, and you get a ton of stuff. You get our logo PNG that you can use for whatever you want, whether it be merch or socials or artwork.
Underwear.
Underwear, yeah. You get access to the VIP lounge for our Discord for patrons, which, spoiler alert, we're going to be launching a Discord that anyone can join, but the patrons will have a VIP lounge and some special things they can do in the Discord. And that's also only for $1. And did I talk about Nerd Tea? Did I say Nerd Tea?
No, you did not
Nerd
talk about
Tea is
nerd
our
tea.
monthly supplemental podcast. It's a patron exclusive, and it's just the Nerdosphere hosts discussing just random stuff. Think our beginning of the podcast chit chat shenanigans, but focused on just one topic and, going for about 15 minutes. And if you want more of just us, you can go check us out over there. Yeah, I think that's all I got. I do want to take a minute, one last thing in housekeeping. Things are going to be changing a little bit for the Nerdosphere. We don't have it's not 100% set in stone what exactly is going to change. And I know that's going to be mysterious sounding to you all who are not in the know. But there are going to be some changes to the Nerdosphere. We will go over that a little bit more in detail when those changes are implemented, which will be here in the next couple weeks. Fear not, your favorite nerds will still be giving you content on a weekly basis. And we do apologize for not releasing as consistently the last month or so. We just had some stuff going on in the background of the podcast and doing a little bit of rethinking, restructuring. Changes are on the horizon, so yeah, we ask
In the
you to.
words of Air Razor, while she has her rifle to Black Arachnia's face, she goes, the more things change, the more they stay the same. Which I don't know how what that exactly means in the context of anything, but I always think of that quote and it brings me great comfort when things are changing.
Well, I think in this aspect, the Nerdosphere will still be bringing you a weekly podcast where we discuss something nerdy.
Mhm.
But so that's not changing.
That's
But
true.
some aspects within the podcast will be changing. But again,
Yes.
we're not ready to fully dive into that. And I don't know that we ever fully will dive into everything aside from what is changing. So yeah. Anyways.
Indeed.
Yeah. You got anything you want to talk about, or you want to jump right into it? I don't really have anything to talk about, to be honest. I don't have anything.
The only thing I have to talk about is if by some chance you are a Missouri or St. Louis based nerd listening to us here in the next week or so, April 9th, Colorado is swinging through, and they have been selling out every single one of their shows. They were just on Jimmy Kimmel last week. Playing live there, which is pretty cool. And as last time I checked, the ticket sales there is LT, meaning low volume. So if you wanted a chance to maybe meet Clayton and I in person in a really unique setting, maybe go there because Max has been on the show before. And we're going to be handing him a Nerdosphere shirt at that concert. So it'll be kind of a cool thing. So
yeah.
That's
Definitely
really all I
should
have.
be a good time. It will also be right after my birthday, so if you guys are in the area and want to say happy birthday, Clayton, you can.
I got 2 of your presents actually just got delivered today.
Oh gosh.
Indeed. The miniest of goshes.
I need to still give you your birthday presents. I haven't seen you.
Do you have them?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I might see you once. I meant to ask you this, so this is a great time to talk about this.
Okay, yeah, on the podcast in front of thousands.
Yes. The Sunday, so coming down for dinner and games. Is there kind of a cutoff moment on when it's too late to come down? I only ask because I think Morgan obviously wants to join in, but I'm pretty sure she works until 6, which means 7:30 is getting down there. And I was like, it might be a little bit too late, but I'm gonna check with Clayton. We'll see what's going on. If not, I'll come down solo, so that way we can make sure we're having dinner and games. But just wanted to see, like, what is too late in the Preston household on a Sunday for shenanigans?
So my initial reaction is that's probably too late. The boys' official bedtime is 8:00. Cadus's bedtime has been around 9:30, so he's getting a little bit older. So we're letting him stay up a little bit later.
Good for him.
And then of course, well, I'll be off on Monday, so that doesn't bother me. But pretty sure Abby works this Monday.
Okay.
So it's a little late. Doesn't leave a whole lot of time to do stuff. If you have to do that, I'm pretty sure in the past you've arrived around a similar time and it's been okay. So I'm not saying no, but at the same time, if you want to maximize the day/evening, especially if you want to partake in some Abby's cooking, you're gonna want to come before 7:30, 8:00 at night. So,
gotcha.
Because if she works till 6, and of course we'd love to have Morgan. This has nothing to do with that. But if she works till 6, it's gonna be 6:15, 6:30 before you realistically get out the door. I mean, come on, let's be realistic.
It's true.
You're talking 8:00.
Yeah.
Get into my house. It's a little late.
Yeah.
Boys are gonna be in bed already.
Yeah.
Or we're gonna be wrestling them to get in bed. So, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Just keep that in mind. She could always call out or switch shifts.
That's true. I'll encourage that.
What's her priorities in life? Work or dinner and
board games.
Like board games. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, let's get real. But no, other than that, I don't really have anything else to talk about other than what we're going to be talking about tonight because I'm really excited to talk about it. I've been waiting for it for some time.
Yep, we have been waiting for it for some time, so we can just jump right into it. Again, we are discussing Moonknight. In the chat, we've got Derpy Gaming. Do you know who Derpy Gaming is? Do we have a name?
Think to maybe that's Keith.
Is Keith Derpy Gaming?
I feel like there's something else we've talked about, maybe in Discord or something, and I've seen that name before. That might be Keith.
We've seen Derpy Gaming before. Anyways, we've got in the chat, we got some people watching us live. He says, so wait a minute, is Moon Knight's power mooning people? No, that's a different Moon Knight. That's Moon Man, I think, is his name.
No, that's mooning Myrtle.
Oh man, I get it because it's Harry Potter. I love that show.
Yeah, show. You definitely aren't a Potterphile, are you?
Not at all.
Shows.
Not really into like waving sticks. Like you asked me in our group chat with Timothy if I watched the gameplay release or gameplay showcase of the new Harry Potter game, and I said no, I've seen some clips, and you're like, well, you got to watch the whole thing. I'm just like, I'm not really into kids waving sticks at each other.
Okay, well, I'm sorry that you don't have any sort of imagination anymore. For clarification, I went to our Discord, and Keith is Ghost Pepper Sauce 113, so far from Derpy Gaming. So I don't know who that is.
I don't either, but I've definitely seen him in the chat before. So thank you.
Thanks for being here, brah.
We appreciate everyone who joins us live. That is an aspect that's going to be changing. And I think that's pretty solidified. So we can talk about that real quick. We will be recording on a specific night at a specific time going forward. We will announce that when the day and time is settled on. It may be a couple weeks before we settle on it and get that going.
Sure.
But we will be live streaming to Facebook, as long as we can make it work, as long as there's no hiccups. If there are, we'll let you know. But the goal is to just stream straight to Facebook, so that if you follow us on Facebook, either our page or in our group, you can see us right there on Facebook. One good thing about being able to stream to Facebook is that we're already connected to a large section of our audience on Facebook, so it's super easy to just get out in front of you guys.
Right.
And then we'll still upload video versions of the podcast to YouTube, but they'll be a little bit more structured and edited. And of course, the podcast release on audio, will not change. So
no,
but
so you definitely can rely on every Thursday receiving the audio or a video version of the podcast, and the video, like Clayton said, will be more polished. It won't be just a straight.
It won't be just like a leftover live stream. It'll be an actual video, with a little bit more love to it. And Corbin's pretty excited about that. He's got a lot of creative motivation to do some of that stuff, and I'm excited to see what he does. But that does open up a little bit more for audience participation during the podcast, which we of course would love and encourage. So
thank you, Derpy.
Yeah, look forward to all that. So yeah, we're talking about Moon Knight tonight. Let's go ahead and get right into it. Let's start off with the Rotten Tomatoes. Again, we do reference Rotten Tomatoes sometimes. We take Rotten Tomatoes either with a grain of salt or as proof behind our thoughts and opinions, depending on what our opinion is. Depends on whether or not Rotten Tomatoes is a good resource. So just keep that in mind. But a lot of talk going into Moon Knight was actually around the Rotten Tomatoes score, because as usual, critics were able to watch Moon Knight, the premiere episode, before its release, and the early critiques, we're sitting at about 77%. So everybody was kind of like, "Ooh, what's going on? That's a little low for a Marvel show, a Marvel property. What's going to be wrong with it?" So everybody was a little apprehensive about why it was so low. And it's not that a 77% means the show's going to be bad. It's just strange to be that low and expect it to blow us away.
Well, in fact, seeing those scores started to reinforce an assumption I had after I saw Eternals, which was, I think, the more nuanced Marvel Studios tries to get with some of their properties, the more alienating it naturally will be because it's no longer accessible to the every person. So that was my train of thought going into Moonknight, seeing these reviews.
Yeah. But pulling up Rotten Tomatoes to discuss it tonight was a marvelous revelation. It is now sitting at an 86% for critics. 101 critics have rated it an average of 86% out of 100. So that's a significant bump. That's a 9% bump in the last couple of days. So all of these people, official critics who didn't have early access to it, apparently loved it because it really drove the average way up. I mean, that's a huge jump for for one day.
Yeah.
The audience score is sitting at a comfortable 93%. It is only 24 hours old, if that. There's only 769 user ratings right now, but I still think that that's a pretty good idea of what the audience is talking about. And I've not seen any hate or disappointment on my TikTok feed. I don't know about you, but it does seem like the socials are enjoying it. So
the only hate I'm seeing on my TikTok feed is for Morbius. So
yeah, Morbius is getting drugged through the coals.
Destroyed.
Nobody likes Morbius. Every now and then we discuss soups on this channel. We're not big fans, but even Soups, who is just over the top, hype about everything. Like, he made a video and he was like, "Man, this is not good." So that's when you know something is dog shit. Is when.
But even his agreeance that it's dog shit is still misguided a little bit, because he doesn't pay attention to how these movies are made, and that's why I think it irks me, because he's like, this movie clearly was plagued by COVID and delays and stuff. No, this movie was done. They're delaying did not change the quality of the movie.
Yeah, it was finished and then they delayed. It's not like their production has been delayed this long and they finally finished it. The movie has been finished for 2 years. And they've just been pushing it back. And we know that they've kind of changed some things. I mean, I don't think it's any secret at this point that they've taken out all the references to Spider-Man throughout the movie.
Which is strange.
Vulture's scenes that we saw in the trailers don't exist. They've taken them all out. Everything. So the Oscorp, everything in the trailer that was alluding to the Spider-Verse,
the murderer,
has been taken
Spider-Man
out.
missing,
no poster, no Oscorp, no Vulture, no, like, it's all gone. And then there's two very strange and confusing end credits that the director himself leaked for some reason. I'm not sure why he did that. Maybe because he was afraid that people wouldn't go see the movie and he wanted those to be out there.
Yeah, he's like, this is the only way you're going to see it.
Right. We see Vulture get sucked into Morbius's universe by Doctor Strange's spell, which doesn't make sense. Sony, what are you doing? That's not how that spell works. And then the second end credits is him in full Vulture suit approaching Morbius about taking on a spider, which is like, okay, you just got sucked into this universe, you don't know anything or anybody, and you somehow have a full Vulture suit. Very strange.
Yeah, it's very strange, and it is frustrating because with the erasing of Spider-Man's identity, it would stand to reason that the Vulture then could now be an actual villain again, because he no longer has that tie to Spider-Man and Peter saved me, my life, and my daughter's life, this, that, and the other. But yeah, the director was on record saying that Doctor Strange's spell has allowed Spider-Man villains to cross universes with each other, and it's like, that's not how the spell worked.
No, I mean, it was already a super huge stretch to pull Venom in to get a piece of the symbiote in for the MCU to use the symbiote in the future.
Right.
That was already kind of stretching the understanding of the spell. This is out there, man.
Let this be another lesson to all of you who keep getting excited by these stupid Spider-Man based movies. When Avi Arad starts lubing up his hand to jerk one out to a possible Sinister Six movie, uh, it doesn't end up very good.
Yeah. Um. Ugh. Anyways, let's get back on track here.
To cool stuff.
Moon Knight. We've got one episode so far. I didn't unfortunately pull up how many episodes there are going to be. Is there going to be 8 like the other shows? I
I
unfortunately
think
did
that you
not
can
research that.
surmise there will be at least 6 to 8. Kevin Feige, again, going back to how he addressed the Disney Plus Marvel shows, said no matter the episode count, you are going to be getting around 8 hours of content for everything. Whether
Right, right.
that's shorter episodes, we're getting more of them, or we're getting longer episodes with twice the amount of time spent on end credits. Um, you know, we'll have to just see.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah. Uh, General thoughts. I actually really enjoyed the episode. Oscar Isaac does a great job acting. He plays one of Moon Knight's 5 personalities. I think he's got 5 personalities. He plays Stephen Grant, which this version of Stephen Grant is pretty different than in the comic. And I'm not as familiar with Moon Knight as some other heroes, so I actually had to do a little bit of research to make sure I was getting some of this right. But Stephen Grant is one of Moon Knight's 5 personalities. He is the one who bankrolls Moon Knight, basically. He's an entrepreneur. He's a multimillionaire. The reason that Moon Knight has, gadgets and vehicles that he can use in addition to his superhuman powers that he's got from that moon god, is because of this personality. So this personality has connections in the business world. He plays on Wall Street. He's got money. Very different than what we see in the show, which is working at a gift store in the museum. Obviously not well off because of the state of his apartment and his life. Very clumsy, shy, that kind of thing. So very, very different in the show. But I think that he plays it well. I like how the first episode, and we'll have to see how this goes going forward, because I don't know how long you can keep this going and
I don't think that you can.
and it be good. But I do like being introduced to Moon Knight. It's not an origin story through one of his personalities that doesn't know what's going on. I like that he kind of blacks out and then wakes up and we don't know what happened. I really like that approach. But now, at the very end, when we do finally see like the Moon Knight reveal, I don't think we can do that anymore. So it'll be interesting to see how we handle that going forward. But as a premiere episode to introduce us to the character without slogging us through another origin story, I really think it's a win.
I agree. And it obviously lends itself to fantastic comedic beats. And like the whole scene of him trying to give the scarab back to Ethan Hawke, I thought was really fucking funny.
Mm-hmm.
And we got to see like actual blood in his hand. Like that was a
His hand
standout
was
moment for
so
me.
bloody. I was like, wow.
Yeah, I was like, okay, coming off the heels of Disney Plus censoring a scene in Falcon and the Winter Soldier,
Multiple scenes.
which they backpedaled and said that was an AI that accidentally did it. We'll fix it since everyone's making a fuss about it. It's
An
like
AI that did it? Like
it's
somebody
like
has
fuck
to.
off Disney.
There's
No,
not a sentient AI going through Disney Plus content and censoring it. Somebody did that. Get out of here.
I know they're stupid, but I'm thankful that people noticed it, threw up a ruckus, which that to me is also hilarious. They thought they could get away with it. They thought they could go and censor these scenes, and it's like the MCU is neutered enough as it is. We don't need you going in and making it like someone gets shot and there's absolutely no
Yeah,
blood, no bullet hole.
And let's hang on this for just a second. I don't understand the purpose behind it, especially when we are only weeks into Disney Plus introducing an MA parental level in their parental guide or parental controls.
Yeah.
So that Daredevil and Punisher and all of this is on Disney Plus.
Sure.
You have to go in and opt in to be in the MA, so it's not like a kid's going to turn it on and even be able to know that these shows exist.
Right.
Adult has to opt in. So I'm very confused because one, it was previously okay by their standards already. But if instead of censoring it, why not just bump it into the MA category? I really don't understand why they would think or desire to spend the time and money to censor a show.
Right.
Like that's my big thing is somebody had to decide that it's worth somebody's time and Disney's money to go in and censor this. I just don't get why you would want to do that. And it's not like the MCU scenes are that bad.
They're not.
There's worse
They're not
scenes on CW and network television. Like, come on.
I also don't understand why Daredevil and stuff hitting Disney Plus and the Facebook moms getting upset because they're scared that their little kid watching Turning Red is all of a sudden going to see the Punisher blowing someone's brains out or whatever. Why are we pretending like the MCU is PG? It's not. I mean, it's hyper violent. It's
PG-13.
Exactly.
We push the language. They really push the violence. I mean, it's people forget because the humor is there. People forget that there is straight violence.
Yeah. So it is frustrating. I think that the Batman, we talked about this a little bit on our Batman podcast, but I think the Batman did a good job at kind of shaking the public to realize that PG-13 means parent guidance. It does not mean it's kid friendly.
Exactly.
Like PG-13 means we get to talk about big boy things and big girl things, like adult things, and we can push that to that limit until it's R. And Marvel has done a great job at staying in that PG-13 area, but keeping it mostly approachable for kids that I would say probably 6 and up.
Yeah.
But let's not disillusion ourselves. These are not PG films. So get over yourselves. So it made me very happy to see that Moon Knight leaned into this realistic violence. It's not overly done, but you can't have a guy who's a trained fighter with arguably having super strength, punching out these normal guys and it be a bloodless affair. So it was refreshing to just see it there. And then we obviously immediately go into like the truck scene stuff, which I thought was really funny. If I had a nitpick on this episode, I would say the VFX work during that chase scene were not very good.
They struggled a little bit.
The truck with the logs was not great. There are a few other scenes throughout the rest of that chase that was like, okay. Yeah. But Oscar Isaac carried the scene. I thought it was just a joy. I think the highlight scene for me in the episode was the steakhouse scene. I think that was so well acted and such a good human moment for Steven that I read an article later that said the director of that episode actually fought to keep it in the episode. And I think that was a good battle, a good hill to die on.
Yeah. I also think that was a great episode. You really felt his acting was so great. You really felt his emotion in that scene.
I've always been a fan of disjointed storytelling. I think this show does a really good job at it. It does a good job at not really hand holding the audience, but laying up so many things throughout the episode. Like when he wakes up and you see like the duct tape on the door and stuff. Like he never says, "I'm doing this so I know." That I just love shit like that. Ethan Hawke, I am enjoying, shockingly enough. Anytime I see Ethan Hawke in something, I immediately think of the Jimmy Kimmel mean tweets that said Ethan Hawke is one of those guys that looks like he shouldn't be famous, but somehow slips through the cracks.
Oh God, I've never heard that one. That's hilarious. It's so true. So,
I think about that every time I see Ethan Hawke on screen.
Yeah, I think he does a good job and I enjoyed it. I do think that if I had to critique something, I'm questioning why he was cast as the villain. I just don't understand. Or why, I mean, and it could be revealed later, but why is this group apparently in Germany, like following an Egyptian god? I don't understand that, but we may figure that out. So
true. And then the episode ends in a pretty predictable way. sadly, in my opinion, in that obviously I didn't want the episode to end, but once I realized how the episode was rolling, I was like, this is going to end with the suit reveal, isn't it? I'm gonna have to wait a whole fucking week.
Yep.
And that's how it ended. So, I'm excited to see how they explain the demon dog. That's for sure.
What do you mean explain? I mean, I think it's pretty obvious that this dude that Ethan Hawke is playing has access to supernatural situations.
No, I mean, I gathered that, that he's working for him, but I'm just like, where'd it come from?
Oh.
That's why I wanted, like, is it like a possessed person? Is it like,
I think he probably just summoned it from another plane.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. Did you like the character play with the moon god in his head talking to Steven in real time? Did that play well for you?
Yeah, it was fine. I don't think I had a problem with it.
Okay. I thought it was funny. I just felt like some points of conversation didn't jive properly. I don't know if that's just me being nitpicky or not.
Yeah. I will say that it jives pretty well with kind of where Moonknight is now, I think. I was reading that they've kind of introduced, I'm trying to find his name, Khonshu, I think is how you say it. They've kind of introduced his voice into his head in addition to the 5 personalities to like create even more like drama in the comics inside his head. So I thought that was kind of a neat little nod to the comics.
Yeah. Kind of a Jarvis situation.
Yeah. I thought it was fine. So
yeah, I think that I'm excited to see all the personalities at this point, because I think that Oscar Isaac is really going to bring a depth to character that we haven't quite seen in the MCU. And this is just one of those things where like the MCU triumphs over all other comic book-esque attempts in that it so successfully has an interwoven story. But I also so love that they're not afraid to tell self-contained stories. Like obviously we might be able to see Moon Knight later down the road in something, but if we just have Moon Knight in this little pocket, or maybe a smaller universe, like Moon Knight bleeds into Blade and bleeds into the Black Knight, and we have like this smaller grouping of heroes that exist in the MCU, I'm all for it, baby.
Yeah,
because this is in London. This, depending on the exact time frame, this Blade in the Black Knight, that what's his name, who played Jon Snow? I can't think of that actor's name right now.
Something.
Anyways, they are all in London right now. So you're looking it up, aren't you?
Kit Harington. Gosh.
Kit Harington. See, I told you.
How did we forget that?
I knew his name was Kit Harington. I was testing you.
But yeah, you're right.
They're all in London.
Those 2 characters, yeah, depending on when this is, we don't exactly know when this is. We can guess that it's relatively around the same time because of the technology. The smartphones are smartphones we have right now. So it's not like it's taking place 10 years ago or in the 90s. Like it's definitely taking place right now. It's just how does it exactly jive with where the Black Knight and Blade are?
And not to put a tinfoil hat on, but there were rumors not so long ago that mentioned Blade's on-screen debut will not be in a Blade film. And some people thought maybe that would mean he was going to be in the Werewolf Halloween special, but maybe we get a Blade in the Moon Knight show.
Yeah, we'll see. Maybe. It'll be interesting to see how they introduce him, because there's not really any movies on the docket that would make sense for him to pop in.
No.
So, yeah.
Would not. And that would be a first. I think that would be a first for Marvel, in the sense that, like, obviously we have these heroes being introduced in their own shows, but we've never had a big hero who's getting their flagship movie introduced in someone else's show. So that'd be a nice little cool, like, oh, okay, you're really utilizing this multi-platform storytelling. So but all in all, I had so much fun, and I was really sad that it was over, honestly.
Yeah, same. I kind of just wanted it to keep going. So real quick, we got a brief look at Mark Spector, who is kind of like the primary
Mm-hmm.
personality. I don't know how much into they'll go as far as the origin of Moon Knight, but Mark was in the military. They found out about his mental issues and discharged him, and then he was in the CIA for a while. Then he became a mercenary, and that's kind of how he ended up getting chosen as the avatar for this Khonshu deity, who's one of the um, big deities in the Egyptian hierarchy lore. He's the moon god, which is hence Moon Knight.
Yeah.
So we'll expect to see a lot of Mark. It'll be interesting to see how they balance Mark and Steven, since Steven is who we were introduced to, but Mark is the primary.
Right.
So we'll see. And also, contrary to maybe, I didn't realize this until I was digging into it, but contrary to maybe most people's understanding, Moon Knight is its own personality. So when he changes to Moon Knight, it's not Mark putting on a suit. It
Really?
is a personality. Yeah, one of his 5 personalities is Moon Knight.
I don't think that I knew that. And it's possible, this might be wrong, but it's possible that the Moon Knight stuff that I've read, it's not that way. So my entry point to Moon Knight is the 2006 run of Moon Knight. Um, and I have like issues 1 to 22 of that run. That was actually done by the same artist who did the art for the New Avengers during that time period. My remembering of that comic run is Mark Spector seems to be the primary, always there. But I definitely did not think that was the case as far as when the suit goes on. That was Mark.
Yeah. So, and again, that's just from research today, and I found that in several places that it's established that he has 5 personalities, and Moon Knight is one of the personalities.
Interesting.
So then we also have, we've already had images of Mr. Knight, which is another personality. It's more of like a detective. He's the personality with just the simple white mask, the all white suit, white gloves. He's more of kind of like the detective side. And then there is a 5th personality who goes by Jake Lockley. This guy's like a loner. He's more like street smart. He apparently drives a cab. He's got a little bit of a network of like informants, and that's kind of how Moon Knight is able to keep his ear to the ground, like in the area. So those are the other personalities. It'll be interesting to see which of those we see, which of those are flushed out, if they're kind of
How they're
combined.
changed.
Yeah, how they're changed, because Steven's already changed. So yeah.
Let me ask you this, Clayton. Do you think the mom is real?
No, the mom is not real. Guaranteed.
Yeah.
Guaranteed.
Do you think that's just probably like a like subliminal like mental device to keep Steven occupied as far as like how he's expressing himself?
So I don't think it's the other personalities trying to keep him busy, if that's what you mean. I
Yeah.
think it is the manifestation of Steven has a background even though it doesn't exist, if that makes sense. So in his
Yeah.
mind, he does have a mom. He is calling his mom and leaving a message and actually genuinely talking to his mom, but she doesn't
Yeah.
exist.
Gotcha. So
That's how I took it anyway.
I'm just fascinated to see how this all plays out. And I agree. I'm excited that Moon Knight is an established thing. It was so refreshing.
Yeah. And I don't know how familiar people are with Moon Knight, but he does have, superpowers. His strength is augmented, speed and agility, that kind of stuff. Just like your basic stuff. He doesn't have any like laser eyes or anything like that, but he's definitely like superhuman. And then I was reading that scales with the moon, so that's partly why he works mostly at night, because his power is derived from the moon god, and as the moon, like when the moon is full, like he's at his strongest, basically.
Gotcha. That's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense, but that's actually really cool.
Yeah. So very, very, very exciting. I think I'm still a little apprehensive on how brutal they're going to go. I do think that this is going to be a good indication as to what the new Daredevil is going to look like,
Mhm.
and if we can ever bring Punisher back, and do him justice.
Sure.
Um, so we'll see. I mean, the snippet we see at the end where he is beating the fuck out of that dog is pretty brutal, even though it's from far away.
Right.
So, we'll see. But I hope that they allow the character to breathe. So, I mean, there's plenty of characters that aren't brutal and they're allowed to exist and breathe. So let's let Moon Knight be who he is. Let's.
Oh yeah, and I totally agree. Anytime we can introduce supernatural stuff into the MCU, I'm like, come on, this is like the last corner we have not fully explored. I
Yeah,
remember when Thor was introduced, how much of a win that was. And then we got Doctor Strange. We're like, okay. But like to have truly supernatural elements be introduced, I think is just the last little piece that we need.
yeah,
And the closer we get to vampires and werewolves, oh man, it's gonna be so awesome.
yeah, yeah. I think often about how we've really come, and we've talked about it before on the podcast, I think, but we've come so far. We have gone from literally explaining every superpower or weird something with technology to fully embracing alternate dimensions, the
Mhm.
multiverse, time travel, spells, creatures, gods. Like I was reading this article earlier talking about the who could the nine um Egyptian deities actually be, because in MCU the gods of lore, and then they list the Norse gods we know are aliens, and I was like, okay, stop. They are from another world, but we've already seen that we now have different dimensions and creatures and spirits and all this stuff. So just because the Norse gods
Right.
are from Asgard, which is the actual place, doesn't mean that these Egyptian gods are the same deal. These could actually be supernatural beings. So we'll
Yeah.
have to wait and see how it's interpreted into the MCU. But we're at a place now where that's okay. They can be quote unquote gods, little g gods.
Yeah.
Because, yeah. So,
I'll never forget uh being in the theater at seeing Endgame with you. And there's a scene where Peter Parker as Iron Spidey is holding the Infinity Gauntlet, web slinging onto a Pegasus with Valkyrie flying over a horde of Giant Man, aliens, Doctor Strange, and you leaned over and you were like, I can't believe we've reached this point and we're actually seeing it on screen.
yes, it's so
Like,
phenomenal to be able to have all that and just let it breathe. And this is another reason why Marvel is so good. Like, yeah, Marvel gets hate for the one-liners and the it's not dark enough and blah blah blah, but they have so masterfully taken the movie audience from here's Iron Man building an iron suit to magicians fighting aliens. Like
yeah,
it's and everybody loves it. But they had to bring us. They had to bring not us, but they had to bring the
right.
audience to that point. It's phenomenal that they were able to accomplish that.
I just hope that we don't um, get so lost in our privileged state in nerdom that we take that for granted.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I will also say that I kind of think because of that, DC, and I know we've talked about it before, that they need to embrace the wacky and the weird and that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they can because of the groundwork that Marvel has laid. Like, there's a ton of cool shit in DC that doesn't have to be grounded and realistic. Like, embrace it. Let's
No,
see Batman fighting Man Bat. Please.
we are going to die on that hill.
Yeah.
Give us Man Bat,
Or
please.
Clayface. Oh God, that'd be so awesome.
It would be. I mean, things exist in a comic for a reason because it's a medium that is far more accessible and doesn't require you to suspend your disbelief as far as other mediums. But it is foolhardy to believe that you can take something that has garnered a fan base like that and rip the things from it that makes it special so that it is a grounded, realistic story.
Yeah.
You got to embrace it.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Closing thoughts. I think we've kind of said a lot. So
Closing thoughts are I don't think I'm going to be foolish enough to say with every single Marvel show, this one's going to be my favorite, but this is going to be a contender for my favorite.
I still
If
really,
it,
I still really like Hawkeye. I mean, Loki. They have all been pretty good except for Captain and the Winter Soldier. That
yeah,
that show is. I'm so sorry. And
Captain Falcon Winter
shout
Soldier
out
is just
to
hot
Ronnie.
garbage.
I know you like it. It's not good, man. It's just not good. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
But,
I'm so
but it's
sorry.
okay. Some people like the Master of Disguise, and that's what it is to you. So love what you love, but it's still not good.
But there's just something about Hawkeye and the charm and what happened in that show that I just really, really love. I really like that one.
If you get a chance on the assembled section of Disney Plus, they have an hour-long thing on the making of Hawkeye. It's a ton of fun to watch. You gotta skip like 15 minutes because they talk about the musical for way too long. But after that, it's a lot of fun to listen to them talk about the show.
Yeah, this dumb musical. The musical and Spider-Man apparently completely ignoring a giant fight in Rockefeller Center are two big misses for that show, but I still really enjoyed it.
No, 100%.
Oh man.
But
You could have even like somehow got away with like showing him swing like after the fight was done or something, like so far away that you don't even have to show like the suit, but we know it's Spider-Man kind of thing. So maybe you're kind of getting around the whatever blocks there are with the deal with Sony. Like just show a
no,
because he lives right there.
it was a strange detail to show him swinging in that specific section during that time of year.
Yes, very strange.
It's very odd.
Very strange.
Somebody
Had to make that decision, and Fahey's got his fingers in everything. They had to know. It's not like they didn't know.
December's only so long,
Yeah.
and the Doctor Strange stuff only took so long. Like him living at that apartment would have been.
It would have been before.
Yeah.
It would have been before, because he moves in, and it's not like snowing outside or anything, and all that happened after Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
So, anyways, we're getting lost in the weeds here. Yeah, I don't have any closing thoughts. I enjoyed the show. I hope you all enjoyed the show. Let us know what you thought about it. Find us over on Facebook. Just search for the Nerdosphere. You can find our page and our group there. The group is getting really big. It keeps growing every day.
It is.
People join every day. It's mostly a meme factory right now, which is great. The memes are gold. But there is also nerd discussion and stuff like that happens over there too. So go and join that if you like nerd memes and being in a group of people who like what you like.
Let me interrupt you real quick, Clayton. On that note, this is something that we don't give enough credit to that group. We talk about the memes all the time, but even when we get into nerdy discussions, it is, I 110% guarantee you, if you're looking for an online community to chat about nerdy stuff, this is the least toxic environment you will ever fucking find.
Oh yeah, we're very fortunate to have a great community, and there's only been a couple instances where there's been any sort of drama or toxicity, and our community has helped immediately make us aware and gets it squashed. Like it's but even that, those toxic situations weren't even really wasn't really like huge situations.
No,
but yeah, you're right. It's a great community, and we're very fortunate to have a lot of kind and funny nerds.
Agreed.
in that group. You can find us on socials anywhere just by searching the Nerdosphere. Look for our iconic red N. We're over on Twitter, and we are on Instagram, and like we said, we are on Facebook, and we are over YouTube as well. That's what I was looking for, YouTube. Remember to rate us if you haven't already. Scroll on down and give us a rating. We appreciate that. And remember, if you really like what we do, to go over to patreon.com/the Nerdosphere, where you can find out how to support the show. Remember, we love you guys, and remember that we've got some changes coming, but that doesn't mean that we still don't love you all, and that the content is going to still continue, and that we're still going to bring you quality discussions. But more on that in the future.
Yes.
Until next time.